three unlikely young people's names are now featuring in our headlines and also painting it sort of big time on our minds or leaving some weight there. These are very young people, 21, 21, 18. The names are Vishal Jha, Shubham Rawat and Shweta Singh. The first two are 21 years old. The third is 18. The first one, at least we know, is an engineering student in Bengaluru. The other two we don't know much more about, although some detail is now emerging saying that Shweta Singh lost her father early, one parent to cancer, one parent to COVID and has had a very tough time financially, economically and otherwise. And also that she's being guided by somebody, some handler or some friend of hers. It could be anything. I'm not putting a name to it, whether it's a handler or a friend of hers and everything. Please presume allegedly with it. Somebody in Nepal. So Mumbai police has gone and caught these people for the same alleged mischief or the same alleged crime, which is making this awful app called Bulli Bai. Being old-fashioned, I find it even awkward to mention these names. But this is a fact. An app called Bulli Bai, where they put pictures of a lot of Muslim women, young and not so young as well. They even put the picture of that JNU student who's been missing now for a long time, his mom as well, his mom who's been grieving and who's been worrying and who's been asking everybody where my son Najib is. Even her picture has been put up there and they've been sort of put on auction. Now, obviously, this is not a real auction, but this is a humiliation. It's a public humiliation and demonization, and it is totally criminal. Now, the fact that they have done it again is because the last time some people did it, when they produced something or they created something called Sulli Deals, they think that they got away with it because Delhi police and Noida police, UP police and Noida, who registered cases in that deal, that incident happened in June of last year. So Noida police and Delhi police registered cases, but they found one reason or the other to say that they were not getting anywhere. Most importantly, because they said that the platform that was hosting these apps, that is GitHub, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. GitHub had refused to cooperate. GitHub had said they had rejected their notices or their requisitions, saying that they are not bound by Indian legal system or India's CRPC, Code of Criminal Procedure. And if at all Indian police wanted information from them, what information would Indian police want from them? The identity of those who had created that Sulli Deals app, which was doing precisely the same thing. It was also pretending to quote-unquote auction a large number of Muslim women. Now, what is common between these women? One, it's their faith. And second, that most of these are vocal voices that are critical of the government of the day, that is Modi government. These are also prominent voices in our national debate, journalism, etc., etc. So these are known faces. Also, most of them are active on social media. So they were targeted basically with the intention of maligning them, demonizing them, humiliating them on social media. So this is what is called the strategy of mental destruction. That's been tried in both these cases. Now, in the first case, if Delhi police and Noida police had acted more effectively, they had caught people who had done this, I'm quite sure the second one would not have happened. So inaction in the first one, or the claim of not being able to do anything in the first one, created a situation of impunity, a climate of impunity, where it's been done again. Just some spellings have changed. Intention is the same. The other new thing that happened with the Bulli Bai case now, which is kind of a repeat of the Sulli Deals case, that is that in this case, while sharing this app or these pictures on social media, Sikh names, fake Sikh names have been used, including Khalsa so-and-so, etc., etc., somehow suggesting that Khalistani groups or Sikh separatist groups or Sikh radical groups are involved there. Now, it's also been found, quote-unquote found, everything is allegedly found by Mumbai police, that this young woman in Uttarakhand, 18-year-old Shweta Singh, She was also using one of these Twitter handles, and that Twitter handle was Jat Khalsa 07. So 07, I presume, is taken from 007, James Bond. And Jat Khalsa, it also reminds me, when you are thinking of something, imagining something, everybody doesn't invent something new. You go by some reference that might have stuck at the back of your mind. So I do remember that in Punjabi, there was a film called Jat James Bond. So this looks like inspired from somewhere there, this mischief. So she allegedly was tweeting from this handle. Mumbai police caught these people. Now the first question you will ask me is, so how come Delhi police, the great Delhi police, has not been able to catch these people or identify those behind Sulli Deals for more than 6 months, but Bombay police has done so immediately? One, it's a question of intention. How keenly do you want to do something? How keenly do you want to crack a crime? Or how seriously do you take a crime? Right? Do you think it's a big crime, or do you think it's some young people playing mischief or something? Un bicharo ko kyun pareshan karna hai? And I'm shocked also, and this is opinion, that some people, including my friend Javed Akhtar, are now saying this woman is just 18, she lost her parents, she should be counseled. See, this kind of forgiveness, when law has been violated, serious law has been violated by an adult, not by a juvenile, by an adult, then you should face the law. Then you don't give people the discretion to punish or to forgive, because that is like feudal justice. So in feudal justice, while you might have forgiveness, looking at somebody's mitigating circumstances, you also have blood money, which means you can kill somebody and pay money and bunch of buffaloes and whatever and get away with it. Modern law, civilized law is not like that. So let's not bring in feudal concepts. This is a violation of serious law, serious violation of the law. And anytime you think that maybe this is not such a big deal, maybe these are just some young people, quote unquote, misguided young people, put yourself in the shoes of the women who were targeted. Either time, they are fellow citizens of ours, citizens of India. They have the same protection of the laws as any of us does. Whatever the religion, whatever the gender, everybody has the same protection of the law, and everybody deserves the same level of decency. So why are they being targeted? There are 3 reasons. One, because of their gender. Second, because of their faith. Their gender, it's female, they are women. Faith, it's Muslim, they are targeted because they are Muslim. And third, because they are vocal and critical of the government. Now, the way I would see it is, I would see it as a use of social media as a weapon to silence these voices through humiliation, fear, scare, also scare their families, friends, everybody. It's like setting an example. कि देखा आपके साथ भी ऐसा ही होगा if you talk like this. So I do think, once again, opinion, that this should face, people who are doing this or allegedly doing this must face the full force of the law of the land. And the fact is that the law is a little bit lax on this, because I'm looking at the sections of IPC and IT Act which have been applied in these cases. So these are 153A, 153B, 295A, which is a bit like hurting people's religious beliefs. There's also stalking. That's an important section. Stalking is 354D of IPC. And 509, 500, which is defamation, that is not criminal defamation. That is not such a strong law. You get bail quite easily in those cases. In fact, mostly you don't even face arrest in those cases. There is also section 67 of the Information Technology Act, where maximum punishment is up to 3 years. So right now we are in the 3-year punishment ballpark. If a police in the course of time takes it to 67A, that might become 5 years. But this is not something which attracts really stringent sections of the law. But these sections are good enough or bad enough, depending on which side of these laws you are on. Because for cowardly people like this, even the prospect of a few weeks in custody, denial of their liberty for a few weeks, will take away that aura of impunity. Ke janta nahi mera baap kaun hai, nothing can happen to me. They will not do this again, and others will not do this again. Once again, if Sulli Deals had been brought to its logical conclusion in investigations, we would not have faced this situation. Now, what happened in the Sulli Deals case? In the Sulli Deal case, Delhi and UP police said that, look, we've written to GitHub and GitHub says, we are not answerable to you. You come to us through the Indo-US, India-US Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, that is MLAT. Now, civilized countries have treaties between them whereby when crime is committed in a country that needs to be investigated but for which information or suspects etc. might be in another country, friendly country, you can ask for assistance. But it's a time consuming process. A state government, police has to put up a case to the state government has to clear that case, then somebody has to send documentation to central government, then central government has to approve it. So the procedure itself can take a long time. And in this case, the Delhi police finally, when they sent a letter or a requisition under MLAT also to the US, it was referred to GitHub, which said, we have moved it to our legal department and they are getting back. So once again, question, why did Mumbai police still manage to catch these people, but Delhi police did not? Because Delhi police and UP police went behind this technicality that only when they get information from GitHub on the identity of whoever created this software or this app can they act. Mumbai police, on the other hand, used Twitter handles. And from Twitter handles, even if you choose to be anonymous on a Twitter handle, when the law and order machinery, when the police, a good police cybercrime cell, wants to catch you, wants to identify you, they can identify you. They can find your IP address and they can thereby trace you. So Mumbai police, well done. They've done this job very well. Now, how was this racket supposedly working? It seems that, again, allegedly, that the student, engineering student in Bengaluru, that is Vishal Jha, he was the one who was editing these pictures. Somebody was writing these posts. Whoever was writing these posts was in touch with Shweta Singh. And then Shubham Rawat in turn was sharing these on Twitter, etc. to spread them as far and wide as possible. All of these are right now in source-based domain. We have to see what will come up in the code. Now, two sort of clutterish questions remain. One, what is GitHub? Why is this not being posted any place else? And GitHub is not something that people like us are familiar with. In fact, I have to make a confession to you. The first time this happened, even one of the young reporters working for us, Fatima Khan, was targeted. And when I saw it in the middle of many other things, and I was working from home, then none of that is an excuse. I didn't understand what GitHub is. And frankly, I didn't understand what Sulli means. These are not the kind of derogatory terms about communities, ethnicities, linguistic groups that we might have been aware of in more decent times. But times have now changed. So I was late on the uptake that time. So what is GitHub? It was an element of clutter in my head also. So I read up a little bit, but then also I did a short pilgrimage in my newsroom of about 30 steps to speak with Nigel Eccleston, who's our digital director, to ask him, how do I explain what GitHub is in 1 or 2 lines? So I will give you the explanation in a second. The second question is, why were they doing it? Was it just some random young people who were driven by hate of a community? In this case, some random young Hindus driven by their hate of Muslims who are doing it? Or could there be something more to it? So first one, I have a more definitive answer to you. GitHub is like an open source platform owned by Microsoft where you can put out or store, it's a kind of a vault where you can store any software you may have created, any code you may have written, any app you might be making. Then other people can use it. So normally, what would you do? Normally, you would go to Apple Play Store or you will go to Samsung equivalent or any such. When you put any of this development there, or an app, software, etc., it goes through many clearances and many checks. On GitHub, there are no clearances, there are no checks and balances. So you put there whatever you want to put there. Just because somebody puts it on GitHub doesn't mean that people like us get to see it. Most of us don't get to see it because we don't go to GitHub. We are not writing code or writing software. We don't need a vault to store our code or software. Somebody has to share this on the more popular and more commonly seen platforms of social media. That is like Twitter, and that's what's being done. And so you're dealing with double anonymity here. One, anonymity as to who put this on GitHub, who wrote this software, who made this app, and second, who is behind this anonymous or fake Twitter handles. And that's how bad people hide. Just an interesting aside, Git, the software behind the platform GitHub, that was created by Linus Torvalds, the same man who also created a large open source platform called Linux, obviously named after his first name, so he's Linus Torvalds. And the final question now, why would they be doing this? Now, there can be many explanations. There could be a simple explanation like these are depraved young minds who maybe have been brought up thinking about a community in a certain way because of the talk in their families, social media, many TV channels, etc. So there's been a Rwandization of their minds and they are responding to that, or they are reflecting that. That is one. But there are also people who think that this is simplistic. So see this tweet by the well-known columnist Dilip Mandal, who also writes for us. And he suggests that, look, if you have these people who are using Sikh names to attack Muslim women, and a lot of it's happening, and I'm adding this, during the farm movement, which was fronted by Sikhs from Punjab, right? So it looks like a deeper plot, because why use Sikh names so gratuitously? Unless the idea is, one, to create a Sikh-Muslim hostility, or maybe to give Hindus a little bit of cover. But it could also be that it's a larger plot to create communal disharmony in India. Any which way, it's a good thing now that some people have been caught, and hopefully this will be taken to its logical conclusion. That is the only thing that will guarantee, or that will give us a reasonable guarantee that such a thing will not happen again.